Well, we've had a day. It's been a good day. Thank you, Pete. It's just been a great, great day. I'm glad somebody stayed. This must be unique to Idaho, going late like this in a day that starts so early. So I've been really wrestling now with, I had several things. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to share with you. I mean, I had some ideas, but after the World Wildlife Fund talk, I thought, I talked to Gabe. Cleared this. Is Gabe here? Gabe, he okayed this for me. I said, do I say something? And he said yes. So I'm going to start. When you bat cleanup like this, part of it is, clean up batter kind of thing. So I'm gonna be the bad guy for a second, because you know what? I have no desire and no compunction whatsoever to feed the world. None. I travel a lot. Other continents, other places. You know what? Food security is not about us feeding Thailand. It's about Thailand feeding Thailand. It's not about globalization, export, import, or any of that stuff. I have no desire when I walk out my door in the morning to feed somebody in Kenya. If you talk to somebody in Kenya, you will find out that they have all the resources, all the manpower, all the intelligence, all the market, everything they need to feed themselves in Kenya or Zimbabwe or Somalia or name your country. Nobody is hungry because they're resourceless or lack ingenuity. People are hungry because there's some displaced, maybe there's not a road, maybe there's there's some tyrant in power that's siphoning off all the money from the populace, and so it's created a peasantry, and everybody's impoverished. You could snap your fingers and double the world's food production tomorrow, and not a single stomach additionally would be filled. That's the truth. So this whole notion that I'm supposed to go out and turn my community into a toilet bowl and kill all the earthworms and make 200-pound chickens grow on a half a pound of feed to feed the world is asinine. And the reason that that's important is not because I just want to pick a fight with somebody, but it's because our assumptions speak from our heart's worldview, and that shapes the research, the policy, the negotiations, and all the discussions we're going to have. So if we start with, oh no, I've got to feed the world, suddenly we head down a very different path than if I walk out my back door every morning and my first thought is, I need to heal this land and love it. See, that's a very different paradigm and sends us in an extremely different path. All right, so that's number one. Number two, I have absolutely no desire to see more machines on the farm. I want to see more people on the farm. I agree with Wendell Berry that the biggest resource lost in American agriculture is the fact that, and Wes Jackson talks about this as well from the Land Institute, that our ratio of eyes to acres is less. If we're going to love the land better and care for it better, we need to know it better. And you can't know but so much. And you can't know it from a GPS positioning satellite with a robotic machine run by a computer in a Fifth Avenue think tank focus group somewhere, run by a corporate boardroom 1,000 miles away. If we're going to actually caress our ecological womb, it means we must have lovers on the landscape, knowledgeable enough to know what this little microclimate needs and what could we do with this bank and what would be good for the fungi under this tree. That takes on-site, localized, real-time information, eyes to acre ratio. That's what it takes. So when I hear somebody talking about what we need to do is have fewer farmers and more machines, I want to just, scream. Number 3, I have no desire in genetically hybridizing everything, as if hybrids are going to create all the answers. I'll bet, I won't make any assumptions, but I'll just say that most of us, I think Gabe would agree with this, I don't want to put him on the spot, or Steve, or whatever. The speakers that I've heard today, I'm not seeing a bunch of hybridization. I'm seeing very specific functional phenotypes that match an ecosystem in a real point in time that work for them. I'm not seeing a bunch of hybridization. I'm seeing things as wacko as line breeding so that we're actually creating more purebred, adapted genetics to a place and time than just hodgepodging, homogenized hybridization. Hybridization is not going to save things. And to think that we'd all be starving if we didn't have hybrids is to dismiss the entire presentation that Gabe talked about this morning. That's the point. Number 4. I am not interested in specialization. I'm interested in diversification on the farm. We've already got too much specialization. We've got millions of acres of it, from acres of monocrops and single species to specialists in educational institutions and bureaucracies that walk around and know more and more about less and less. Like the proverbial 6 blind guys on the elephant, and the one guy that's feeling the leg says, well, methinks this thing is rather like a tree, and the one feeling the tail says, methinks this is rather, like a broom, and the one feeling the ears methinks this thing is rather like a, We know more and more about less and less. And I'm a big believer that a lot of our answers are going to come as we become generalists rather than specialists, so that we can understand holism. To understand holism at all, you have to be a generalist. You have to know a little bit about a lot of things. And our problems come when we have specialization. That's a signature foundation. John Eichert talks about this. The 4 pillars of industrialism are mechanization, routinization, specialization, and simplification. And we try to mechanize every job. We turn it into a routine. We specialize it, and we simplify it to where now in the average, for example, processing plant for poultry or beef, do you know that the average job in the average food processing facility in the United States can be taught in less than 20 minutes? Which forces people like Wendell Berry to ask the pregnant question, what are people for? It's back to Henry Ford, who took visitors through the Ford plant early in the century, and he was just, ebullient over this wonderful assembly line factory system that he's the father of modern factories. And he was just ebullient about this great thing. And you know what? The only complaint he had every time he took, foreign visitors and business people through his plant, he only had one complaint. You know what it was? I've got to hire a whole man when all I need are his hands. That is a really human affirming statement. So no, I'm not interested in specialization. I'm interested in diversity, mosaic farms. Biodigesters. Do you realize that in order to have, you saw the picture of the big biodigester, what was in the background? A great big confinement dairy. You realize that in order to make that biodigester work, it requires a concentrated animal feeding operation. If you put the animals out on pasture and you're moving them around, you don't concentrate enough manure to run a biodigester. And this is what makes my head explode. You get Greenie Awards and get little environmental plaques at fundraising dinners for being green when the technology you've created is simply to solve a problem that we should have never had in the first place if we had looked at nature as a template. But you see, the problem is that as soon as we deal with the 100 processing food companies to get funding to move it toward biodigesters, nobody can dare to ask to change the whole paradigm so we don't concentrate that much manure to run a biodigester. By gum, we've now invested and built in the technology. We got research scientists building biodigesters. So by gum, we're going to make sure that those things get filled with poop, whether it's right or not. And see, that's why your paradigm drives what you do. See? You ready for the last one? You see the picture? I've seen this before. We're going to feed cows wood. I mean, the answer to feeding the world, folks, you get this? Is to engineer a cow so that she can eat wood chips. If we could just get her rumen, tweaked so it didn't depend on grass, and just tweak that thing up so we could just set that cow on the back end of a wood chipper, My goodness me. Well, all right, enough of that. So Gabe and I had a karma, like negative energy between us. We were just sitting there, biting our lips and going. So anyway, I'm sorry he's not here to hear that. Maybe somebody's taping it and they'll send it to him. But see, this is why. You know what? This is why I have a lot of mistrust of big solutions. Because really, the solutions are the compilations of a lot of little things done right. If not a single person in the United States for the next 3 days went to McDonald's would cease to exist. And all of the parameters for the potatoes that have to be a certain size and shape, and everything else gets thrown away. And all the parameters for a chicken that has to be a certain size and weight in order to scrape up the nuggets and glue them together in, fecal nugget material. Have you read Fast Food Nation? The thing is that a place like McDonald's actually defines what agriculture looks like. And so if we don't like what agriculture looks like, we don't need to go do a bunch of jet setting around and sit down with McDonald's. We just need to quit eating there. And suddenly, the box will change. That's all it takes. And that doesn't take regulations. It doesn't take litigation. It doesn't take legislation. It doesn't take negotiation. It doesn't even take a nonprofit organization. Okay. That's just a pre-ramble. I wasn't planning on that, but was that okay, Gabe? I couldn't help myself. I just couldn't help myself. All right.